Elias Voss had spent years working the lonely night shift beneath the city, surrounded by endless rows of forgotten records. The archive was silent except for the occasional creak of old shelves and the distant hum of aging lights. It was a place where time seemed frozen, untouched by the outside world. One stormy night, while organizing neglected files in a remote corner of the basement, Elias discovered something that should not have existed. Hidden behind a rusted cabinet was a black folder covered in dust. Across its cover, written in silver ink that seemed to shimmer in the darkness, was his own name. A chill crawled down his spine as he opened it. Inside was a single document stating that Elias Voss had died exactly 1 year earlier. The date was unmistakable. The record looked ancient, as though it had been sitting there long before he ever found it. As thunder shook the building above, the lights flickered violently. For a brief moment, the darkness swallowed the room. Then, from somewhere deep within the archive, a whisper emerged. It was cold, distant, and impossible to identify. 3 words drifted through the shadows. The deadline was missed. At that moment, Elias realized something was terribly wrong. After finding the mysterious file, reality itself began to change around Elias. Every clock he passed would stop ticking. Mirrors reflected him a fraction of a second too late. Strange noises echoed through empty hallways whenever he walked alone. The feeling of being watched never left him. Night after night, a tall figure appeared in the distance. Sometimes it stood at the end of a corridor. Sometimes it waited across deserted streets. Whenever Elias tried to approach, it vanished without a trace. The sightings continued until he finally confronted the stranger inside an abandoned subway tunnel beneath the city. There, under flickering lights and surrounded by silence, the man introduced himself as Corvin Hale. His pale face showed no emotion, and his eyes carried the weight of centuries. Corvin revealed a truth more horrifying than any ghost story. Elias was never supposed to be alive. His death had been scheduled exactly 1 year ago, but something had gone wrong. The collection of his soul had failed. Now he existed between life and death, trapped in a state that should never have been possible. And because of that mistake, something terrible had begun searching for him. As days passed, Elias discovered the full consequences of the error. The world was slowly forgetting him. Co-workers greeted him with confusion, unable to remember his name. Friends ignored his messages. Neighbors who had known him for years stared at him like a complete stranger. Even photographs began changing. Faces remained, backgrounds stayed intact, but Elias slowly disappeared from every image. It was as though reality itself was trying to erase him. Corvin explained that every life followed a precise order. Death was not random. Every moment was carefully recorded and maintained. By surviving beyond his assigned time, Elias had become a fracture in existence. The longer he remained, the worse the damage would become. Entire sections of reality were beginning to distort around him. Corvin spoke of a terrifying entity known as the Auditor, a force tasked with correcting impossible mistakes. Unlike ordinary reapers, the Auditor did not simply collect souls. It erased problems completely. Once it arrived, there would be nowhere left to hide. The city transformed into something unfamiliar. Streets shifted overnight. Buildings appeared where empty lots once stood. Familiar landmarks vanished without explanation. Yet nothing was more disturbing than the shadows. Elias first noticed them moving incorrectly beneath streetlights. They stretched across walls and sidewalks with unnatural movements. Some belonged to no one at all. These dark shapes drifted silently through the city as though following a hidden command. One evening, Elias and Corvin followed the growing swarm of ownerless shadows toward the oldest district in the city. The trail led them to an ancient clock tower concealed behind modern skyscrapers. The structure seemed untouched by time. Its massive clock face remained frozen at midnight. As the shadows gathered around its base, a hidden doorway slowly opened beneath the tower. A freezing wind emerged from the darkness below. Whatever waited beneath the city had been hidden for a very long time. And it knew Elias was coming. Deep beneath the clock tower, Elias entered a chamber unlike anything he had ever imagined. The room stretched into darkness, illuminated only by dim lanterns hanging from unseen chains. At its center rested a colossal ledger bound in ancient metal and chained to a stone pedestal. The book appeared endless, its pages extending far beyond what should have been physically possible. Every human life that had ever existed was recorded within its pages. As Elias searched through the impossible text, he found his own entry. His heart stopped. Next to his name was a crimson mark indicating a completed death. According to the ledger, he had been dead for over a year. Before he could process the discovery, the room grew colder. Every light dimmed simultaneously. From the darkness emerged a towering figure with no face, no eyes, and no recognizable features. 100 soft whispers echoed from within its body. The auditor had arrived. It spoke with countless overlapping voices, informing Elias that reality could no longer tolerate the mistake. His existence would be permanently erased. As the faceless entity advanced, Corvin revealed the secret he had hidden since the beginning. He was the Reaper originally assigned to collect Elias. On the night Elias was meant to die, something unexpected happened. Moments before his scheduled death, Elias risked his own life to save a child trapped inside a burning vehicle. For the first time in centuries, Corvin hesitated. He saw courage where he expected fear. He saw selflessness where he expected desperation. That single moment of hesitation delayed the collection of Elias's soul. What seemed like a few insignificant seconds became a catastrophic error. Those seconds allowed fate to break. The missed deadline created a flaw that continued growing with every passing day. Corvin admitted that everything happening now was the result of his choice. He accepted responsibility and vowed to stand between Elias and the auditor, no matter the cost. Even a servant of death could not escape the consequences of a mistake. The confrontation that followed shook the foundations of reality itself. The massive ledger burst open as countless pages tore free and spiraled through the chamber like a storm of living paper. The auditor unleashed waves of darkness that consumed everything they touched. Stone walls crumbled into nothingness. Names vanished from records. Entire memories disappeared as though they had never existed. Corvin fought with a silver scythe forged from fragments of lost time. Each strike echoed through the chamber like thunder. Around them, reality began collapsing. Above the tower, buildings vanished from existence. Streets folded into darkness. The city itself seemed to unravel. As midnight approached, the battle reached its peak. Corvin gathered every remaining fragment of his strength and drove the silver scythe through the auditor's chest. A horrifying scream erupted from the creature. Thousands of stolen voices cried out simultaneously before the entity shattered into clouds of black dust. The threat was defeated, but the damage could not be undone. Silence filled the ruined chamber. Torn pages drifted gently to the ground as the chaos finally ended. Corvin lay weakened beside the shattered ledger. Though the auditor was gone, the original problem remained unresolved. Reality still demanded balance. Corvin explained that only one solution existed. Elias would have to accept the death that should have happened a year earlier. There was no escape and no loophole. For the first time since discovering the black folder, Elias understood the truth. Running from fate had only prolonged the suffering. He accepted his destiny. The moment he did, the world began healing. Memories returned. Distorted streets corrected themselves. The city stabilized. Yet something unexpected happened. The forces governing life and death recognized both Elias's sacrifice and Corvin's redemption. Rather than erasing him, they granted Elias a new beginning free from the broken record that had defined him. Corvin, however, vanished forever into the darkness between worlds. Years later, on quiet nights when clocks struck midnight, Elias would hear a faint whisper carried on the wind. It served as a reminder that even death could make mistakes, and that some mistakes leave scars across eternity.